There's a guy in the 17 and 1800s called Napoleon, and you've definitely heard of him. If you haven't, then like, what are you doing? But he did something that is quite incredible, and he created a concept which is gonna help you get more sales. So let me explain. There's something called the golden ratio of leads to sales. And in this video, what I'm gonna do is explain to you how Napoleon figured this out a very long time ago, and how he really nailed the supply and demand concept, and how we can apply it to your sales, your outbound, and get you more sales from what you do, and be able to staff correctly and do a whole bunch of other cool things. My name is Matt. I spent the last 10 years doing lots of things in sales and working with some of the biggest names in the space. I went from being a sales guy, making $22 commission per sale, doing outbound fitness sales all day, all the way up to making 100K a month as a closer. And then from there, going on to grow my own companies, an agency to 8 figures, a coaching company to 8 figures, and also a gym chain to 8 figures. So what I'm gonna do today is explain to you the golden ratio of leads. So in the 1800s, Napoleon was obviously a pretty famous dude in France, and he was a general. He was doing all kinds of stuff, and he came up with this really interesting thing. So he would go, because he was very famous, and he wanted to stay that way because he liked it, and he would go to the theater. Now, people would ask him how often he went to the theater, and he had this rule in his head, where if he did too much, then they would expect him to come, and it wouldn't be special. And if he didn't come enough, then people would be like, oh, when's he coming? And they have no idea. So there's a right amount of sort of Napoleon to the people. Okay, and he figured out it was about once a month. If he came every day, it was expected. It was like, oh, there's Napoleon again. If it was every week, it was like, oh, that's cool, it's him. If it was once every 6 months, then like nobody made a fuss about it because nobody knew that he was coming, and it was all just kind of random. But if he came once a month, right, that was the perfect amount for it to be an event every time he came. And this is a perfect analogy for us to figure out the golden ratio of sort of setters, okay? Or people doing outbound to actual leads, all right? I have run tons and tons of teams. And in order to scale and scale efficiently, the first thing that really starts to the bed is the lead to set ratio, okay? So what usually happens is that like we're kind of doing the thing, you're out there, you're like punching sales, and then the marketing guys go like, more, and they just start absolutely cranking it, right? They're like Fast and Furious style. And then like what happens is, the sales department can't keep up, so what do? They start to just filter the leads more because, you know, they're listening to their closers and they're just like, oh, we need better leads. So what they do is start filtering. More leads, heavier filtering, same amount of sales calls, and you end up with the same amount of sales and dramatically more leads. Okay, and so now with outbound, we can fix this. Not only can we fix the filtering problem because we can actually use the people to talk to them, we can create some better metrics, I think, but we can also start to create a much more efficient system and not start to lose our lead to set. So because, you know, if you just start filtering, which is what a lot of sales teams do, then all that ends up happening is that you end up with your cost of acquisition absolutely skyrocketing, and you end up with a sales team that can only deal with laydowns, right? And you know, and a marketing team that says they're killing it because they're just getting the cheapest human possible leads, and it just ends up in a total show where you think you're scaling, but you're really not doing much except for spending more money, and just everything's going downhill. Okay, so what do we have to do? We have to be disciplined to figure out what the golden ratio is. Now it's going to be different for every single business. However, I'm gonna break it down for you guys and give you a little bit of help. So what we want to do is achieve the highest possible lead to set. Now the best that I've seen is around 30%, right? That's pretty good. 30% of the leads. So if you get 100 phone numbers, 30% of them end up hopping on a sales call. That's pretty fantastic, okay? Now there are different industries like B2B and all that kind of stuff, and you know, but I'm talking about averages. Around 30% is a great North Star for a lot of businesses, okay? Now your contact rate is different. That's how many people you speak to. Okay, you might speak to 60, 70% of the people, but it doesn't mean that they're all fit to go through all the way through to a sales call, okay? So 30% is a good kind of North Star. Even 20% is pretty good. A lot of people I see are at like 2, 3, 4, 5%, which is pretty sad to be honest, and a very expensive way of doing things if you ask me. But if I gave you, as you're my setter, okay, a guy out there, and I gave you 25,000 leads for the month, you would produce me the exact same amount of sales as if I gave you 250,000 leads for the month, or if I gave you 2.5 million. You're like, how, Matt? But it's 2.5 million versus 2,500 or whatever. So it's like, no, or 25,000. You can only handle so many people, right? Like you just can't do it. The ratio that I work off in my call center is 45 new leads per day for one SDR. Now, I know that sounds like not that many, and a lot of people are probably running double, triple, quintuple, you know, whatever that. But my dialer, okay, dialer.io, website might be out now or might be out later, but whatever. If it's out, we'll link it in the description. We're getting like 20, 25% pickup rates. I'll put a little screenshot up here. right? And that's without double dialing and triple dialing. And so if you're getting 20% pickup rates, then you make $100 and 20 people pick up. If you're a good SDR, you're going to be getting at least 70% of those people, 60% of those people having a conversation with you. So let's say you do $300 in a day, right? Then you are going to be having a lot of phone calls. You're going to be having like 60 pickups. From 60 pickups, you might have 40 genuine conversations. Now, what does that mean? So 40 genuine conversations, like that is an awful lot. And so what we do is, and then the way that we stack it, it's like you don't just call people once, okay? We call them 3 times day 1, 2 times day 2, 2 times day 3. That's the maximum 7 in 7 days. That's the maximum 3 times in a single day. So now we're sticking within our TCPA compliance regulations. We're doing all the right things. We have a high pickup rate. We're moving and grooving people, we're making cash. So 3 times day 1, let's break that down. I'm just gonna use 50 leads because I'm stupid and math. Okay, so 50 leads, it's $150. Day 2 is the fresh day 1s and the day 2s, which is $2 per day, which is 100 for the 50. So now we got 150 and 100. So now we got $250 day 2. And day 3, we're adding in 150 plus 100 plus 100. Okay, so now just in those 3 days, from 50 leads per day, we are maxed, people. We are maxing. Then not including if you start doing follow-ups and 1 per day and all that kind of stuff later on down the track from day 7 to day 14 or whatever. So like realistically, if you're giving that person 100 a day, they're just not going to be able to get to them. Your speed to lead's going to drop. Your contact rate's going to drop. Your efficiency drops overall. So you might as well not do it. Or unless you have some sort of crazy marketing reason where you just like throwing money at Zuckerberg and you want him to get a new t-shirt or some shit, okay? So it's that golden ratio. Now, how do we determine if it's a golden ratio, right? We've got like our speed to lead. Now, the way that we set our system up, okay, is that we have an API where as soon as the lead is generated, it's boom, it's queued up as the next call and it's called automatically. That's all automated, right? So we can have really fast speed to lead. You can set delays on that if you want to, if you have like a, you know, like a webinar and you want to wait 47 minutes to call them, whatever it may be. But, you know what I mean? Speed to lead is key. What we're seeing, okay? What we're seeing in terms of speed to lead, and I'm just got some data here. What we're seeing in terms of speed to lead is that like the speed to lead campaigns can get upwards of maybe 30, even 35% pickup rates, and the 1 per days after those people haven't picked up the phone are lower. You know, they're in the teens, right? And so like that initial contact is so important, and getting that ratio right of like, well, if we can get them in the first, you know, let's just say first hour, okay, like that nice golden hour, then we know that we have a much higher chance of talking to them, getting a pickup, getting a conversation, getting a booking, than if that starts to blow out. So if we have a system that can physically track accurately, right, the speed to lead, and we can have like a metric where if that starts to blow out, then we onboard another setter. Once we get that setter on board, we give them a couple weeks of old leads and then we go up. So now it's like, okay, if we want to scale, we need to have these people in the background constantly being trained. We put them on old leads and whack them on new leads. Old leads, whack them on new leads. Or maybe you get one of my guys from the call center to take the people who are day 4 onwards so that you don't clog your guys up. Maybe they can go from 50 leads per day to 60, 70 leads per day because now they're not doing any of the 1 per days that start from day 7 onwards, right? So it's really about finding that nice golden ratio, okay? And figuring out like what you're gonna be doing, how many new leads you're gonna be getting, and what is the ratio of lead to staff that's going to put you in the best position to be able to scale and scale profitably and not just like throw stuff away. Okay, now if you got a terrible pickup rate, it makes it harder. If you got terrible contact rates, it makes it harder. If you got no way to really judge your speed to lead besides like a couple of workflows in HubSpot or whatever, then it's probably not going to be super effective, but you do what you can do. The key is there is absolutely no point having 50,000 leads a month and 10 SDRs. Those leads are never going to be touched. You know what I mean? And so we need to put in some mechanisms, some checks in place to where we can scale up accurately, scale up nicely, and actually be able to give ourselves a chance of, God forbid, making some fucking profit. All right, guys, hope that was helpful. Deuces. I'm out. Go to Dialer. Bye.